everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, where it's our show where we usually review things in the world of television. Most times now we are doing episode by episode reviews of currently on air shows, airing new seasons on television for you. However, sometimes when a season ends, we like to give our thoughts about what do we want to see next season, next time on that show. Specifically, today we are giving The Rookie Season 9 predictions. I held back a little bit on this. I'm very delayed. We just posted our Season 8 finale review not too long ago, but, I'm going to be honest with you. I literally was about to catch my flight. For some reason, I was 1 minute before I had to go. Like 1 minute, but my ride had to go. I didn't have time much longer to wait, and that was still including, like, processing and checking it, and then obviously uploading it, and so it's like, it wasn't enough time, and I didn't get to review, I didn't get to give my thoughts on what I want to see until, I came back. And here we are. I'm back from vacation. I'm a little bit more thinner than normal. A little bit more. I'll be back to normal next time, next season. But speaking of next season, I want to give my thoughts about what I want to see in Season 9 of The Rookie, which was confirmed while we were doing our Season 8 reviews, so we don't have to speculate what if we're going to get a Season 9, because we are. And all that usual shorts and all the little goodies. So, and we'll tackle a little bit of the upcoming spinoff, The Rookie North, which was officially confirmed while I was away. The Rookie North will be happening, but it's a little bit of a different caveat, so to speak. And we'll talk more about that and once we get down to the to the brass wild. But just before we get into a little bit of the deeper topics, just reminding you, this is going to spoil everything from Season 8 of The Rookie. So we have yet to see the 8th season of The Rookie, which is now available entirely for streaming on Hulu. You can go check that out. Otherwise, we are spoiling everything from the 8th season. So, again, if you haven't watched it, this is not the video for you. Please go watch Season 8 on The Rookie. We will have our Season 8 non-spoiler review next time. But for the time being, this is not the video for you. But if you haven't watched Season 8 entirely and you're ready to see and hear what do I want to say about what Season 9 has in store for us, there you go. But yeah, no, without that being said, again, that was your warning shot. So to get down to it, The Rookie will be returning for Season 9 in January 2027. They confirmed it. We don't have an episode order yet, with the scuttlebutt between budgets and episode orders. And now with the spinoff, we generally do not know. And something I heard recently is that another thing is that Grey's Anatomy is getting another spinoff in a Texas-led locale. Which supposedly will be splitting an 18-episode order, so it's going to be 9 for Grey's and 9 for the Texas spinoff. And people are kind of rumoring that might be the case for The Rookie, where Rookie might get 8 episodes. That I don't think so. I think they're going to be 2 separate episode orders, because North has already been confirmed for 10, which they already shot 1, so they're shooting 9 more at some point this year. And then Rookie will, I believe they start shooting later this summer. So it's a little bit of a later start, a little bit later than I was expecting. But you know what? That's just the nature of show business with everything going on in the world. I want to say most likely we'll come back when they're 18. I'd be okay with 16. Again, the cast seems to be set in stone. They haven't even made any official casting announcements. There's just the assumption that everyone from the main cast from Season 8 will return for 9. Which, considering we got news while we were still recording the episode reviews for this season pass, that California has given the biggest tax incentive the show has ever seen. So hopefully that allowed it to kind of keep the same routine without sacrificing the episode order, the salaries for the cast, and how they set to appear. Those specific details, I don't know. But my incentive is that we will get another 18-episode season with this coming Season 9. And with that being said, however, I feel like the rumor skid around is that Season 9 and North will begin the same day, and North will only go until episode 10, which honestly, to be honest with you, I know with production schedule, I really think they should have fast-tracked North to come out in the fall and then have Rookie Prime in the mid-season. But I understand that I have my speculations about the Season 9 premiere, how that's going to tie in. And beyond that, I get that making a TV show is pretty difficult. And, to get 10 episodes out, essentially you'll be airing late September all the way to the end of December, or at least a little bit of crossover into 2027. I get that. I know it's hard to make a TV show. That was my assumption. But again, I know these sort of decisions take time. I think they made those determinations days before the upfront. So I understand, but at the same time, it's like, I'm a novice when it comes to these business decision stuff. But, we'll see about all that. And just for content, we will also be reviewing North at the same time as Rookie. So we're going back to 2022 energy, which I believe was the busiest time season for What's in the Tube, because not only do we have Rookie North, we have Matlock, we have Baywatch. I believe I'm missing a show. I think I'm missing a show. I might be wrong, but we have a lot of content to and potentially reach your season 4. As you know, they haven't released it yet, but I'm assuming it's gonna be like season 2. We kickstart the season at the very end of this year, and then we go into 2027 with the rest of the season. So we're gonna have a very busy first couple of months in 2027. So Rookie is just part of the larger puzzle on our sphere, including North. But in general, with the story for season 9, you know, we would have to kick things off with the cliffhanger from season 8, which, again, for spoiler context, Tim and Lucy are now engaged to be married. It's taken them 8 long seasons, and they're finally engaged. But sadly, the rich dude that attempted to bribe Tim towards the end of season 8 came back to basically make do on his promise to kind of mess with Tim's life, taking him and Lucy hostage to parts unknown, and that's kind of where season 9 will most likely begin, with the fellow Mid-Wilshire crew scrambling to find Bradford and Chen at their unknown habitations. And my personal theory is that sadly, I do believe episode 2 of North will be a crossover, or episode 1. I don't know how it's going to really work, considering the fact they already confirmed Nathan Fillion will make a crossover appearance in episode 1. My wholehearted prediction for North is going to be that the main character of the show, I don't know the names yet, I won't get to that till we get to the show, but I'm assuming that his like incident that kind of makes him go to the police academy and being inspired by Nolan essentially is going to be he's an LA local, and he gets into the academy, and then he gets sent up north, which is the plot line and the basis of the season. So I think that's going to be probably it. It'll probably be a separate timeline thing compared to where we start in season 9. And then when we get into episode 2, that's when most likely the cast will be interjected. As my only speculation is that most likely Bradford and Chen are being sent up north, probably to a cabin in the woods, so to speak, before they get divided further or being tortured or whatever the case might be for that one. And so the Mid-Wilshire crew will most likely have their first crossover with the North crew properly then. So the first 2 episodes are basically going to be crossovers for North, which, again, that's what they did on Feds. I can't complain too much about it, but again, it is what it is on those sort of things. It is what it is. But generally, that is the major thing that we'll have to tackle when we get into season 9 properly. But other than that, they really don't set up too many things in terms of that, so to speak. For the Rookie itself, I don't quite think there's anything else really that was let behind, you know, really from season 8 that we really need to tackle on with in season 9, besides focusing on obviously the characters themselves, you know. So my only thing for season 9 in terms of like a plot line, and some of the cast members have made it very clear that they kind of want to go back to the season 1 through 4 tropes of like going back to cases of the week, not too many like very unique style, like going back to kind of like the procedural-esque inspired things that they're not, but at the same time that they inspire to be sometimes. So with that being said, you know, I've heard some critiques for season 8, and we'll talk more about that next time on the general end of, you know, what the Rookie season they decided to do this season more wholeheartedly. I mean, again, like for me personally speaking, you know, it's like I talked about, you know, you want to be able to like, you know, keep evolving, keep your show intriguing and engaged for audience members around the world to be gravitating towards too. And that being the case here, you know, I'd be down for that, you know, especially when you have presumably a new set of rookies coming in. You know, Miles will presumably be done after we cross season 9 premiere, so theoretically we would need a new rookie to kind of kickstart the season with. So whether it's going to be a Grey's Anatomy where like we're getting a fresh batch of 3, or potentially Ridley coming back in with a whole new cast. I don't know really. I really don't know. It's up in the air on that one, to be honest with you. But honestly, you know, it would make perfect sense. Like if it's any season to kind of go back to some of the old fashioned, which is kind of weird to say. You know, we're now 8 seasons in, and now I'm talking about things from when we first were starting this as old fashioned. It also kind of showcases that I'm old. I've reviewed 7 to 8 years of this show. I started this when I was in my early 20s. I am in my late 20s now. It is crazy. It really is. But besides that point, if it's anything that they want to do here, this would be the correct time to do so. Maybe for season 10, celebrate that 10-year anniversary properly. But regardless, this would be a good re-entry point for that. But besides that, you know, going to the characters, you know, again, where we will most likely be getting new rookies this year. We had two at the start, one being long term, one being now recurring. Ridley potentially coming back in. I'm mixed on it. You know, they kind of try to do their best to kind of redeem the character a little bit throughout 8. I'm neutral on it. I will see how they do, and if they're going to introduce someone new, I'm game for it. You know, again, I would be remiss to say, you know, that I'm not. It's weird because, like, assumingly that new rookie will join the main cast too. I mean, again, Grey's Anatomy having famously over a dozen different cast members on the series regular side. I can't say much on the rookie because I think they're now 10 and above, or at least on the 10 front. I can't deny that, but at the same time, we kind of go back to where we question of, like, you know, as much as the cast loves the show, we kind of do need to be pushing a little bit in terms of, you know, let's get more characters to go the Aaron route, where they're still loved and we still will get to see them, but it's just not something that we can really do on the daily to daily occasion, as, you know, again, there's a lot for them, you know, a lot of characters to do. And, you know, obviously when I'll talk more about that in season 8 when we do the review next time, but there was a lot of characters this year and a lot to balance, and I don't think everyone probably got their fair due. So again, it just depends how they structure the story and how they really want to work it out. And, you know, I kind of really want to see certain characters get more shine and some characters kind of take a little bit of a backseat, so to speak. And then again, I understand it's an ensemble show. You got to take the risk of that. But at the same time, you know, every character on the season should get their shining moment to shine properly. So with that being said, you know, going to the actual established cast members, starting with Gray. Gray's in a unique spot because we started season 8 with him, like, you know, on the outs of the Watch Commander role, joining Garza's specialty FBI LAPD task force, which he spent majority of the season, as well as dealing with relationship problems with his wife. And picking up season 9, you know, their main centerpiece of the operation being Monica, who was killed towards the penultimate episode, is no longer there. You know, they have confirmed the task force will be disbanded. You know, no more Monica means Garza kind of goes back to the feds full time, and Gray is kind of stuck in the LAPD with no real set role for him. Like, what is next for him? Is he going to be captain? Is he going to become the commissioner? Is he going to be back to Watch Commander? Who knows? Like, Bradford already has some hesitations with the Watch Commander role towards the end. But also for Gray, it's like when you do the same thing for so many years, you kind of get a little bit like, well, kind of want to switch it up a little bit. So I'm a little bit in between with him, to be honest with you. You know, I love Gray, and I was like, as much as I loved him spending more time with Garza this season, we never got that Grace and Garza episode. So I'm going to repeat it again. We need a proper mainline team up episode with these two just joshing heads and having fun. I still want to see that. That is my one hope. Otherwise, in terms of, like, retirement, you know, I think Gray is just like Weber. He'll just never retire. I think Gray will probably retire way down the road than what I was expecting. But for a storyline for next season, I don't know. Like, they did a good amount for him this year, and honestly, for 9, I think it's just maybe a reinvention of him trying to figure out exactly what does he want to do next and what does he see in his trajectory next. Maybe retirement is on the horizon. Who knows, really? Going into Penn, which, be honest with y'all, I think he did a really good, strong first half of the season. Second half, he kind of disappeared, and it's like it feels like they kind of, like, didn't know really what to do. He made cameo appearances. He showed up where he can, and then his, like, final push out of the rookie, you know, spear was felt. So it kind of felt like he was all over the place. And, you know, obviously, you know, when you are in your, I believe, your 3rd generation of rookies, you know, for the show, I know it gets a little bit difficult to see how do you kind of keep the character invested into the material and keeping them, you know, really still engaged forward. You know, him, like, fighting for Penn and then fighting for himself, and then, you know, just going through the motions, him having the most rockiest rookie trajectory since Nolan. You know, it was felt, but we didn't get to see too much of it towards the second half. So I think for season 9, it's a bit of a question mark. Will they keep him on board? You know, will they go the Aaron route and write him off into a recurring role? I don't know. They didn't establishly set that up in season 8. The assumption was that he will cross the finish line and he will be an official P2 when we kickstart 9. So I don't see it. But honestly, with him, I mean, I think for him personally speaking, I think we should really be seeing him kind of take more of a solo path. Again, like having him be kind of his own man. Essentially, again, obviously P2s don't necessarily have to ride around with people, so him kind of like trying to like now officially an officer again without like any shackles really besides orders. I think that'd be a fun angle to explore for him speaking, and I'd be down for anything for him to be honest with you. Something to see him on the regular. Maybe him like essentially being kind of quasi Ridley's protege, oh not protege, mentor in a way, kind of like how they were, kind of teamed that up in 8. I think that would be the only way to go because honestly, for me, at least with Aaron, they had like 4 and 5, a little bit, to do with him, and then 6 to kind of like, no, my bad, 4 and 6 is where they had things for him to do, and 5 was kind of like his slump season. I feel like we kind of got a little bit of that for Miles this season. I kind of don't want to go for that again in 9. I kind of really want his character to have really something solid to do, really, and really to like get invested in. And I think we should really get back to him like being a caregiver for the community, him being like being able to oversee everything and being able to like be there for the people of LA because he's still kind of relatively still a fish out of water with that one, even if I think they confirmed his period now is like I believe now a year and some change of his rookie training. So he's definitely been a rookie for a lot longer time to even compared to Juarez, and I didn't even really feel like that much has passed in the timeline. But the rookie in the timeline, I'm not gonna get into that to be honest with you. But I do want to see something interesting for Miles. I don't know exactly what it is to be honest with you, but I definitely would like to see something really solid for his character. Going into 9 speaking. Juarez, I will be honest with you. I think besides her relationship with Roger and like this season, I really cannot mention too much for her that happened to her this year. Obviously, they set her up with her being in part of missing persons division, briefly, and I feel like that could be an angle she might do as a supplementary track in season 9, which they were teeing up towards the end of it. I don't again, but besides that, they really were like focusing more on her relationship with Roger and kind of just doubling down. Like she is part of this family now. She is part of the larger crew, whether it's with Nolan, now more deeply with Chen, to an extent Bradford and Lopez. So she definitely is finding her like larger footing in this larger little mid Wilshire family that they kind of made for themselves. And with her specifically for what's next, there was a couple moments where like it didn't seem like she had her own real thing going on this season. She was more like tacking on to a lot of other things that were happening in the foreground while she was kind of back there a little bit. So I would like for Juarez to kind of step up a little bit, especially if missing persons is something that the writers are setting her up with to go forward. I feel like that would be the right step for her speaking wise, and there's still so much more for her character to explore. With that, potentially even maybe going into a cold case like that could be a larger storyline itself in the season, because we definitely are in the need of more villains. Like we set up Glasser, who's kind of like now becoming an annoying leech of a villain, but we could definitely set her up, something up with that. I think that would be a good approach to take it for her, quite frankly speaking. Then going into Harper, where Harper this year, again, season 7, she had a lot to do with the Glasser stuff, and then her kind of picking back that up in a portion of season 8, kind of her dealing with the fallout of that, like her getting a little bit too chummy with her job, and then having that kind of blow up in her face was a really solid, like, humbling moment for her, as she kind of just has to kind of really figure out, like, what it means from, like, being, like, you can't be too comfortable with your job after a certain point. You really do still need to, like, step up and really know exactly what you're doing, conducting yourself with proper etiquette and such like that. And, she definitely kind of rebounded herself towards the end, like making sure Glasser doesn't get the last laugh, so to speak, and I'm pretty sure that storyline will still continue in 9 as she still kind of deals with the fallout of that, especially with Glasser back on the loose. I would say probably, like, I think her and James should get back into the forefront again. James kind of took a little bit of a backseat this season as well. With them, they had a lot of relationship stuff to deal with in 7, so I understand they didn't want to do, like, back-to-back on that. But there's still some things that we didn't get too much of an update on in 8 on them, so I think going back to 9, get, like, kind of, like, maybe having James being a little bit more involved in that, too, I think would be the best approach for her, as maybe it could be a point where, like, she may be dragging down a little bit back down the Asepsis side again, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see about that. But honestly, they did such a really good like follow up to her on that from what they set up for her in 7. So I'd be really down to see what they entirely would do for her in 9, so to speak. Wesley had a good amount to do this season, and obviously it becomes a little bit questionable since this is a show about police officers, so having a lawyer and a firefighter on the cast is a bit questionable from a week to week perspective. I mean, I get that they're trying to like make it a little bit more diversification, especially everything is connected in a way. So Wesley going from being DA representative for Mid Wilshire, and then this year he ran for DA itself, and sadly that was a whole me and a half, especially relating to Glasser on that. So definitely that kind of became back into the forefront of that, and for him going through so many emotions, especially with Monica too, the election, his future with Lopez and everything. So Wesley kind of got thrown through the ringer this season, and ending with him like deciding to go back to his roots, his OG roots of him being just a traditional DA out of a back corner office. Now with his old boss, I think it would be a fun approach for him to handle. Sadly, him and Bradford are on the outs with their friendship. Even though Bradford really only was kind of probably only friends with him because of Lopez. So definitely, once Bradford gets saved, I think that's going to be a big thing for them to tackle on in the first half, to see how that will be resolved. And Wesley does have some ground up building to do. He has a lot of building up to do for the next season. So I wouldn't anticipate him being back in the forefront again speaking, but I do imagine him like having his own ladder to climb through again in this new half. Bailey, I have understand the criticisms with her this season. Again, talking about with Wesley about like this is a police show and we are focusing on lawyers and firefighters a little bit too much than some of the main characters. I really do understand that, and I get that complaint. I don't think it's something they might tackle on too much this season, considering the fact that's just the formula that's been working for them, and I don't anticipate that being something they're going to truly really fix up when we kickstart season 9 next year. I think for Bailey speaking, I mean, she's had a good trajectory with storylines, especially, but I still found it redundant with the whole DC storyline, considering that was going to be her next big thing, and then she came back from it, which I'm like, okay. It just felt like something that temporary for the character to be occupied with a little bit. So I want to hope for season 9, if anything, if we are going to try and cut down the budget a little bit, if that's still on the agenda. I think personally, limiting her role to like support or cameos, at least for this time period, again, when you have a lot, when you get to do a lot in a season, tentatively for an ensemble, it's kind of like you could take a little bit of a step back the next season. I feel like that her character's overdue for that, to be honest with you, to kind of take a step back a little bit, just kind of be, support for the team in an appropriate manner, and obviously being there for Nolan if something should come up. And I think that would be the best approach for her character to do when we do come back around next time. And that goes into next with Lopez. Again, this season, her being somewhat more the supporting anchor for Wesley with his storyline this year, and then her also being the wing woman for Bradford, trying to get with Chet again, and then the whole storyline. They went for a fast approach with that one. Like, we kickstart 8 with her trying to get Bradford and Chen to be back together, and then at the end of the season, she's helping him out pick out rings. It was a bit of a crazy roller coaster for her, to say the least. But it didn't feel like really she had her own full storyline to handle with. So I really would like for her to have a storyline next season. I think I don't know exactly what would be next for her character to deal with. Maybe a new villain, for her, because technically Wesley had Elijah and Harper had Glasser. So I think Lopez getting her own kind of quasi recurring villain, I think would be a fun approach. I think that would be next for her character, even though she kind of helped out with the Wesley front with against Elijah. I think it would be a fun angle for her to get her own kind of like quasi villain for herself. I think that would be a very fun angle for the character to explore next. And then going into the big duo, Bradford and Chen. Again, what more can I say? I know people are going to be like, Chen for wedding, which I'm like, 100% season 9 is going to end with a Chen for wedding. 100%. I anticipate that now. Season 9 will end with the wedding. They will get out of this debacle. I think it will be a very interesting rapport for them to build up their wedding, and season 9 will end with the wedding. I will imagine Bradford will get overwhelmed with the wedding planning because it's not something that he's used to, and Chen will be again kind of questioning so many life choices. I will imagine Bradford trying to get her back more involved with her parents to have them involved in the wedding. There's a lot for them this coming year. I don't imagine them being killed off, sadly. I mean, if they do kill off Bradford or Chen, I will be shocked. 100% shocked. Do I see that happening? No, I don't. And if I am wrong, I will be proven wrong. But at least in this regard, I don't see them exploring down that path. I do believe they are going to get out of this somehow, and it's going to be a whole season with them prepping for the wedding, getting to it, having a lot of moments, then probably going through like a final case, and then them getting tying the knot, and then like I think it'll be the first proper wedding since Nolan and Bailey, which wasn't that long ago too, where they do get to have a kind of like a happily ever after moment where like there's no problems, there's no issues with the poster during the wedding. I don't think so. I think they have been through too much. Let them enjoy like a happy ending, so to speak, and I think that would be a good way to do it. Do I see them being written out too to save money on the cast? I mean, I know people want to see them with a baby. I feel like that's a season 11 or 12 type of question. And it's also one of those things where, like, I could also see them getting a spinoff. I could also see them going off to the horizon to a new station, to a new area of LA. I could see them doing that. I believe Chen and Bradford are going to be one of those relationships where I imagine them going down an angle where they don't get to stay on the show full time. That's just me speaking wholeheartedly. I don't know, nothing. It's just a thought I had. And lastly, to Nolan, where I don't know about Bailey and Nolan, but like they've had a very weird history of finding pseudo children to kind of take in. First was Selena in a way. Now they have the drone kid, which I cannot remember his name for. So they are kind of becoming parents in a surrogate matter of that in a very weird way of speaking it. And for Nolan for season 9, I don't know what more you can do really. Obviously he's going to probably have a new rookie, so that's going to rebuild a new rapport, so to speak. It will probably be the most intense he's had since Juarez, since 5 to 6. Well, 5 to 7 really. And then for him, I don't know really. Like for his career trajectory, there's not really much more he can do left. I mean, the only thing is that I think that would be next on the horizon for him would probably be, I don't know. I really don't know. Like Nolan just has been for the ringer this year with Bailey and everything, and the fear potentially restarting over again. I don't know really what will be next for him. I feel like he'll just be an anchor pillar for the rest of the characters, and I'm just being completely transparent with that. I really can't see, because if they're gonna do another Nolan and Bailey issue again, I'm gonna be tired of it, to be honest with you. We had back-to-back seasons of it. We don't need another one. We really don't. But at the end of the day, we'll see. I really don't know. It just kind of really depends on what they decide to do next for Nolan speaking, for his character. It's just kind of up in the air with that one. And with all that being said, I just want them to keep doing what they're doing with the show itself. Just, obviously we talked about it before, maybe going back a little bit more to the roots a little bit might be a little bit helpful for them. But keep doing what they're doing. 7 and 8 kind of proved that they still have ideas in the fodder, ideas that they can do for this show. And, obviously I want to say 150 is on the horizon, or we're going to pass 150 already. So there's still much more they can do with the show, and there's still so much they can do with this cast. Whether it grows or it shrinks or not, I think this is definitely a show that will probably still be around for a little bit much longer, and I'm very happy to hear that. I'm very happy that this show could potentially enter Grey's Anatomy territory, which is like rare in a modern day sphere to see, to be honest with you. And I'm just very excited to be getting to review with y'all a 9 next year, and to be able to continue to go forward with the story. But with that being said, what do you guys want to see in season 9? I would love to hear your thoughts and predictions down below. As always, I would love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the 2 from ActionX, bringing you a predictions video for The Rookie Season 9 coming to your television screens in 2027. if you want to know what we're doing normally, what's to do beside these prediction videos. Normally we do reviews. We just wrapped up Madlock a little bit ago, so sadly we're done with that. We will be back next time with a Rookie Season 8 non-spoiler review for your consumption, so stay tuned for that. That'll be coming out very soon. And that's about it. We also have After the Theater, which will be coming back very, very soon, which is our movie review series. And we have some other What's the Tube shenanigans coming up very, very soon. So there's some content to look forward to. Just be patient on the content. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring the bell and follow social media for more. But till next time, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in 2027 for even more Rookie with both Season 9 and North. I very much looking forward to this being a universe again. I very much look forward to it again. But until then, enjoy the rest of your year. Stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.